We'll discuss the phases or stages of group development. So, when we talk about group development, this is the measure of success in groups as well as how groups uh, move forward, no, in terms of achieving their goals. So, these are the stages or phases of group formation or group development. First is the forming stage where members get to know each other and set ground rules. So, this is where pakikipagpalagayang loob, pakikiramdam is observed. Stage 2 is the storming stage where members come to resist control by group leaders and show hostility. So this time, individual interest might comes out, and of which some members would oppose to or resist even to the group leaders' point of view. Third is the norming stage. This is where members work together, develop close relationship, and have these feelings of sense of cohesiveness. So, sense of belongingness or the sense of we feeling is highlighted during the norming stage. Next is the performing stage where group members work towards getting their jobs done. So, they overcome already that feeling of I don't belong in the group. And in this performing stage, they focuses more on how will they uh, perform specific tasks and looking forward for the success of their tasks or of their goals. And the stage 5 is the adjourning stage or the process of termination, where groups may disband either after meeting their goals or because members leave. So this is where the ending uh, takes place. So to continue, forming stage focuses on interpersonal relations and dependence on leader, need to develop a mission, goal, trust, norms, and a sense of inclusion. So in here, this is the process of orientation phase where the prime mover of this stage is the social group worker, where the members depends their ideas on leaders and they are excited to be part of the group. To develop yung pakikipagkapwa-tao, pakikipagpalagayang loob. As I've said, second stage is the storming where conflicts arises and in order to overcome that conflict, there should be a strong amount of cohesion and harmony in the group. So this is where organization phase takes place. So in the first phase or stage is the orientation, second is the organization. Then renorming. This is where group begins share information productively, actual work begins, and they overcome that feeling of isolation from their group members, where trust is established and openness is also emphasized. Then performing. So task performance or performing of tasks is being highlighted, where each members have high commitment and collaboration over their vested interest in the group. So aside from that, there are also phases of group development highlighted by Margaret Hartford, and these are the pre-group formation phase, which was categorized into three phases. First is the private pre-group, public pre-group, and then convening phase. In the private pre-group, the idea occurs to one or more persons to organize a group for some purpose. So most of the time, the idea of organizing group lies on the social group worker or the agency. Second is the public pre-group, where a decision to have a group is shared with others. So it could either be through announcement, no, verbal or written. And then the convening phase, this is where the group meet for the first time. Okay. In the private pre-group, questions or question that should be asked is what should be conceptualized? Why I am organizing? What should be or what are the problems that needs to be addressed, no, in organizing the group? In the public pre-group, what are the things to be discussed? So, if there are prospect members of the group, what are the things that needs to be discussed? And how will I convince uh, for these prospective members to join, no, and take their part in the group formation? Then convening phase describes the dynamics of first group meeting of prospective members. So what should be discussed during the first meeting? In the group formation, question that uh, should be of mind is that when are the indicators that the group is organized? So paano ba masasabi natin na sila ay committed na sa grupo? So in this period, the group gets organized. This is the formation process where the may be achieved during one session or many sessions depending on the members, capacities, and purpose of the group. The group goals and norms evolve and group's role system begins to develop during this phase. Interaction patterns are observable and indicators of cohesion may already be evident. Social group worker continues to take a lead role in promoting communication and interaction. In the group integration, disintegration, and reintegration phase, so this is where conflict lies, no, and overcoming conflict also experience. So interpersonal ties increase and a sense of group bond or we-feeling begins to become apparent or evident. Struggle or conflict may be serious and if not resolved can result to disengagement or disintegration of the group. Group may have to restate its goal, modify the structure, or establish new rules and norms in the group, or even establish new leaders in the group. Reintegration is where it is the high level of integration that may mean more stable relationship, greater influence, there are clearer norms and interdependence, cooperation is present, and the awareness of significance of the group experience lies, and of course, state of equilibrium or balance is also observed. So reintegration is where conflicts are minimized, no, and they were able to discuss their indifferences or differences perhaps, and they have a more stable relationship which focuses uh, on the target goals of the group. So group functioning and maintenance, where maturation lies according to Jones and Garland's, and differentiation for Kolodny, and according to Helen Norton, it talks more on problem solving and stabilization phase. So according to Bales, or Robert Bales, he states that this is the social emotional qualities of giving support and helping appear during this phase. And Byrne and Coyle said that there is an emergence of group culture. It could either be ethical system, artifacts, etiquette, and social contract. Okay, so group functioning and maintenance. According to Byrne, group pursues the fulfillment of purposes even though the work may lead to change in the structure and activity. So they are more focused on the process of doing things and highlights the roles of each individual members in the group. According to Schutz, this is where the period of affection lies and emotional integration of members with each other emphasized. According to Tuckman, this is where norming and performing stage established, and a sense of groupness is developed during this stage or phase. And the last is the termination phase, wherein there are three categories of termination. First is the pre-termination, then the termination itself, and the last is post-termination. When we talk about pre-termination, this is where the group is prepared for the imminent ending. Take note that the social worker, prior to the actual termination, he or she should tell the group about the possible uh, ending of the group relationship or of the relationship, the professional relationship. Termination is the actual ending, which means the last group meeting, of which goodbyes and culmination takes place. Then post-termination refers to the period after the group ceases to function and involve plans to continue to meet as a group if this is desired. So post-termination, this could be that the initiative comes from the group to meet and discuss, no, or reflect on the things or evaluate on the things that they were able to do and the things that makes them, strong as a group. So that steps in helping process categorizes into three major steps. We have beginning, middle, and ending phase or step. First is the beginning step. So under beginning steps are assessment and action planning. In the middle step or phase is the plan implementation, and ending is evaluation and termination. So pre-group formation activities of the social worker under beginning phase. First is conceptualizing the group service. This is where concept paper is being done. So this includes the rationale or the purpose of the group program, the target client or the target groups, the need or problem to be addressed, the membership criteria, resource requirements, procedure for setting up the program, and the time frame. Second activity of the social group worker under pre-group formation is the announcing the group service and recruiting members. So where written announcements are posted in strategic places in the community or even announced verbally. Third is preparing logistics. So this is the logical support such as personnel and materials. And enlisting community support where pre-group planning should include identification of those sectors in the community whose support is essential to program success. So this is where internal resources are should be highlighted or enlisted. Okay, and still under beginning step is assessment. Individual focus assessment planning. The term assessment talks also or is synonymous with social study and diagnosis. It involves information gathering and analysis towards an understanding of the need or problem of the client. So assessing the possible or prospective group members, what are their problems, interests, and so on. Okay, pre-group interviews or intake. This is where prospective members usually interviewed by the social group worker prior to actual group formation. Interview could be private, one-on-one, or with a group. Things discussed during the pre-group formation interviews are the following: the agency and its services, the agency's purpose of the group program, agency's expectation in terms of attendance and participation, the activities to be taken or to be undertaken, the duration or the time frame of the program, and the basis of terminating the membership or the membership criteria. To continue, under assessment planning is the individual client profile. So it includes the name and other basic identification of the client or of the prospective group member, the need, the concern, or the problems relevant to the group program, the strengths, resources, and limitations of each individual members, and workers' observation or comments based on the interview. Another is case assessment or problem definition. The information that have been obtained during pre-group interviews should now be studied and analyzed with care. So during the interview, especially on the workers' observation, the assessment takes place. So it should be carefully analyzed by the social group worker. Then, action planning. This is based on assessment and is the outcome of assessment. So, again, action, you cannot jump into making plans if you don't have that background or if you don't have the assessment of the individual or of your prospective client. The task involves a consideration of the most appropriate ends and means that should be pursued. So, planning, there should be a careful planning, not only looking into the group's success, but also the individual success as well. Under action planning, this includes formulating goals. The ultimate goal of the group workers is to enhance or improve the client's social functioning. Formulating goals should be clear, specific, and realistic, or following the SMART method of planning. Next is establishing specific helping plans. These are specific plans, or specific statements rather, of what will be done to achieve the defined goals. So if you have already formulated your goals, therefore there should be specific helping plans along that goals. Then another is the group focus and assessment planning, still under beginning step. Start even before the group has been convened. The social worker processing in his mind the information that has been getting or thinking. So the social worker in here should be 5 steps, in terms of planning, thinking, sa kanyang kliyente or sa grupo na kanyang i-organize. Tasks are related to 2 aspects, the group composition and group formation. So, ilan ba ang dapat i-organize? Paano ba sila dapat i-organize? Ano ba yung dapat i-consider ko na itong tao na to ang nangangailangan na i-organize. So, that's it. Group composition, this refers to the selection of group members and deciding the size of the group. So, this includes selection of the members, the size of the group members. So, the size of the group, in terms of treatment group, is ideal is not beyond 7 members. Task group 15 members are ideal. So when we say treatment group, these are special groups like group of drug dependents, group of sexually abused women, and others. So when we say task group, these task groups this focuses on, for example, out of school youth, group of household heads or fathers. So this is an example of task groups. Another term under group focus assessment and planning is group formation. So group formation is the process of getting a group organized so that it can start to function and move towards the attainment of its planned goals. So the actual group formation, where group composition is already made, group size is also made. Important matters during group formation. First is common group concern or problem. So this is very important. They have common interests. They have also common problems. The norms and rules should be emphasized. So during the group formation, house rules should be emphasized. Schedule and venue of group sessions or meetings should also be highlighted. And group goals also is highlighted or discussed. There are 3 perspectives in goal setting. First is members' perspective, next is workers' perspective, and group systems perspective. So under members' perspective, members have their own views about the group. This relates to the perception of why the group exists and their reasons and motivation for membership. So as the social worker should look into the members' perspective, how they view or what are the things, no, that they consider, no, upon joining the group. So ano ba yung naiisip nila? Bakit sila nainganyo na maging part ng grupo? So it is very important to have this leveling off sa bawat membro ng grupo para malaman mo kung ano ba yung motivation nila, paano sila mamomotivate along the way, especially if conflict will arise, especially with especially kung merong mga problema na kanilang mai-encounter, no, sa grupo. Hindi sila basta-basta mabuo kasi merong leveling off ng bawat perspective ng membro. Members' perspective can be analyzed in terms of understanding of the group purpose, members' individual needs, motivation, or purposes for membership, and the composite of members' individual purposes for membership, or the common ground. Then second is the worker's perspective. Workers' own reasons for the group existence. So before the actual group formation, the workers should have this, should discuss rather in the group, ano ba yung reason bakit siya nandun? Ano ba yung reason bakit gusto niyang tulungan na ma-organize ang grupo? Workers' perspective can be analyzed in terms of agency societal purpose, yung kakayahan ng agency na tumulong sa grupo. Workers' goals for individual members based on assessment of individual needs and concern, and the worker goals for the group as a whole. Then the group system perspective or the group goals. The worker and group members both need to have initial common ground. So, dapat, again, mayroong leveling off. Ano ba yung iniisip ng bawat membro? Ano ba yung iniisip ng worker? At ano yung iniisip ng grupo? Bakit sila merong, or bakit sila into organization or organizing? There should be a common ground, which means sharing goals. Group goals are conceived as desirable or preferred end states for the group as an entity. Program media. This refers to the activities, verbal or non-verbal, which the group engage for the purpose of achieving its goals. So, uses of program media. Why program media is very important? First is to modify or change the attitudes or behavior, to promote individual values and emotional intellectual growth, influence group climate, promote group interaction, enhance or enrich group content, promote desired group values, facilitate beginning, middle, and ending stages of group life. So, these are the factors in selecting group program media. First is the goals for the group. So, kailangan, iniisip mo kung magkakandak ka ng mga program media or activities, kino-consider mo ang kakayahan ng grupo. Ano ba yung goal? If you are targeting elderly, ano ba yung appropriate program media or activities for the elderly? So, members' objectives for joining the group. Bakit sila kasali or bakit nila, ano ba yung objective nila? Bakit sila sumali sa grupo? No? Kailangan yun maintindihan o malaman ng group worker. Appropriate in terms of time and space requirements. So, program media should also be appropriate. So, halimbawa, you cannot make an activity using laptop and LCD if sa lugar na pinupuntahan mo walang kuryente. It should be appropriate in terms of time and space requirements. Age of group members. So, again, kung ang yung target group ay matatanda, so dapat iniisip mo rin yung mga activities related to their age group. And emotional and social characteristics of members. So, dapat meron ka ring background, no? Especially diba, during interviews, kung ano ba yung mga probably mga baggages ng mga target groups mo or target members ng grupo. Next is, you should be sensitive in terms of culture and their ethnic backgrounds. Okay? And then physical characteristic of members. No? So, you need to also consider ano ba yung mga kakayahan nila in terms of physical characteristic. Hindi mo sila pagbubuhat ng mga mabibigat na bagay if di nila kaya physically. Mood of the group. So, you need to consider their mood especially during encounters like meetings. Availability of materials or resources should also be considered. Then worker skills and capabilities. Then plan implementation is another step. Plan implementation is under the middle phase. So this refers to all activities, worker intervention, and group action, which the group system directs towards the achievement of individual group goals. So according to Werner Bond, it states that the concern at this stage is to render all the specific and interrelated services appropriate to the problem situation in the light of the assessment and planning that have been taken place. So, plan implementation. You need to have clearer plans of doing things, especially in relation or especially in consideration detail, interests, concerns, and problems of the group. Aspects of plan implementation. There should be interventor roles of the worker, resources and services used to be used, and the problems and constraints met or probably met along the implementation of such plan. Worker stances during the helping process by Margaret Hartford. The worker has has these different stances. First is direct, second is facilitating, third is permissive, and the fourth is flexible stance. So under this direct stance, the worker assumes the major responsibility for organizing and convening the group. The worker plays a directive role in interventions and activities. So this is where ideas and thoughts comes from the worker. Second is facilitating stand, where the worker sees himself as a member of the group with special expertise and their different roles and functions from the group. So the worker in here facilitates the discussion of each members and also considers individual stands of each member, especially on the attainment of their goals. Then permissive stance. It is the stance that assumes that if correct group composition has been made, and the purpose and the focus of the group is clear, the group emerge. It indicates high socially competent, strong motivated group members. So, permissive stance, the worker only guides the group, but the major decision making lies on the group itself. Then, flexible stance simply means that the worker will change his stance in the course of a session or over a series of sessions. So, it means to say that this stance refers or talks about more on the workers being flexible on the flow of the meeting. Say, for example, the group experience conflict or conflict in the meeting. The worker will automatically facilitate the meeting instead of or the worker should be neutral in facilitating such meeting instead of letting the group debate and probably fight during the meeting. Okay, and the last or the ending phase in the helping process. First is the evaluation. There is regular or periodic evaluation and terminal evaluation. So regular evaluation or periodic evaluation talks more on the process of doing things in relation to attaining goals, while terminal evaluation is the actual goals has already been achieved and there is a background check or checking or evaluating of the things that they have done and how they were able to overcome those failures or overcome those challenges that the group experienced along the way in achieving their goals. So records that group workers usually write or keep. First is pre-group or intake interview records for the social worker, no, to more or less check, no, along the way kung ano ba yung mga nakalimutan niya uh, sa uh, possibly sa ugali ng membro ng grupo, no, para magamit niya on assessing the group's need or the individual needs and paano niya ito matutulungan. Individual case assessments, the statements of group concerns or problems, then attendance records, and then the process or summary recordings of group sessions. Records of marginal interviews, records of collateral interviews, and evaluation records, and transfer or closing summary. And the last is the termination phase or step. This is the final step in the helping process where it is done when the goals for the client have been substantially achieved. When we say substantially achieved, this means that all the goals, no, or all the plan that was highlighted during the group formation was already achieved. Parts of the termination is the termination phase, and the post-termination phase. So that's all. And